Most of the kids that we serve come to us are referred to us by either probation or DCS. So a lot of times we'll be involved with DCS, been removed from the home, or they're still in the home, so we're providing services to prevent an out-of-home placement. So typical things that we see, kids that have experienced abuse or neglect, substance use, depression, anxiety, mental health issues. Brandon and Eric, they are now 18 and 19, so they first came to us when they were, I believe, 15 and 16. And they entered through our emergency shelter care, which is here on campus, and then were placed at Lutherwood shortly after. Definitely one of the neatest experiences. I mean, they are the definition of why I do what I do every day. I mean, they're amazing people.
As children, we never really had a stable spot. Kept bouncing around from place to place. It was always a family at first, then it was friends of the family, then it was friends of the family. Eventually we ended up going in with our grandmother.
My grandma had got sick. She had multiple sclerosis, and it started to tear her down. Like her bones started to deteriorate a little bit. It got to the point where she couldn't move. Disobedient to the point where she had to send us to
Crossroads.
Anger management facilities.
And by the time we'd gotten out of Crossroads, the multiple sclerosis had already taken a serious toll on her, and we couldn't go and live with her anymore. So we were placed in the foster system. I think the main part of where we went wrong that summer is we ended up hanging out with the wrong group of people.
And then that's when we got back with our mom. She came to visit us every so often.
She had been in and out of jail and went to prison once.
But the first couple months were all right. Once we got settled into the apartment, actually everything was looking bright, I would say.
I remember at one point she thought that we were being followed, so we drove around for about 3 hours, and she hardly ever slept. She could barely drive. It got to the point where she would fall asleep at the wheel, and Eric would turn the wheel for her.
And I told my mom, we're going to the hospital. And she told me, no, I'm going to drop you off at your cousin's house. And I spent about a week there before I ended up at Lutherwood.
Eventually this one cop had seen me walking around every night. So eventually he pulled me over, we talked, he's like, all right, so you're homeless. So we talked for a little while, and he decided to drive me up to Lutherwood. He dropped me off there, and I spent a few nights there, and that's when Eric showed up.
I started, just obeying the rules a little bit. I got a job. Every staff I said I hated ended up being the person that I connected with the most. There was a staff named Miss Erica. And then it got to a point where I actually started liking her. She helped me fill out my taxes. She helped me fill out my W-4 so I could get my job. She helped me. She actually took me up to my job so I can do the interview. She took me up there she did everything for me. Anything that had to do with a job, that had to do with business, that had to do with medical, she helped me with. She took me to the hospital so I can get surgery on my nose. When no one else would have done it but her. And it meant a lot to me.
Eventually someone sat down, Richard kept to love him, call him my uncle. He eventually sat down and talked with me. He's like, Brandon, This isn't your typical place. Everybody here cares about you, and the reason why you haven't been kicked out yet is because we really do want to help you. But Brandon, you've got to sit down and think what you actually want to do with your life, because this is your breaking point. This is make it or break it. Either you can go all the way or you can give up now. Every staff had a role, and eventually it made up a family. First actual family I have had since I actually lived with my grandma back when I was about 7. And Trinity House is what provided that for me, and I think that's what mainly gave me the foot in the ground that I needed to start getting stuff together, the actual support. Because most people, they were in and out, but Trinity House stayed with me 100%. Everything changed when I got there, and I'm honestly can say that I would not be here today if I hadn't gone to Trinity House. I think things turned around for me in high school when people actually started explaining to me what high school was and what, laid in front of me and what path was, ahead if I had screwed up.
High school is where I set my foundation, almost. I met three of my best friends, and I feel like they're going to be lifetime friends. Going into high school, I didn't understand what academic honors was. I just thought, you just get your credits and go. As long as you make a good GPA, you could just go to college. I didn't understand what ACT was. And going to Howell, I actually understood. Being at Trinity House, they actually helped me understand, if you get academic honors, it looks way better on your transcripts than just getting a normal high school diploma. Trinity House, it actually helped me start advocating for myself.
That's probably the one reason why I say, in the end, the foster system was worth it, because of the success, because they completely pay for my college. One of the biggest opportunities, I can't even describe how grateful I am for the fact that I get to go to college.
When I got to Trinity House, I became an A student off of a simple phrase. Being a C student doesn't do anything but put you at the top of the bottom. I look forward to getting an A in class. I look forward to getting a B in class. When I don't meet that expectation, I get upset, and it gets to a point where, I have to push myself that far. And once you push yourself to that goal, and once you push yourself to that limit, there's nothing that's going to stop you from getting that A. And there's nothing that's going to stop you from being successful. And my grandma, what she would do is she would get on a notepad and she would draw out the slides and the bacteria and everything that she would see under a microscope, and she would actually show me and be like, "This is what I used to do." When I used to work at Quaker, I would actually look through oatmeal under a microscope and tell is it passable, is it not passable? And I thought that was just the coolest thing ever. So I think that's why I actually take biology.
I've been the little guy, and I've been the one in the foster system. And now that I'm actually out and I can make something of myself, I think I'm going to become a social worker so I can, give back to those in the foster system.
I plan on majoring in biology at Ball State, and then hopefully going off to Purdue and getting a degree in engineering.
I just want to see how far I can go. I've been told a lot in the past that I wouldn't really make it too far. Most people didn't really even expect me to graduate high school, and now I'm in college. So I just want to see how far I can go.
I feel like all of the boys over there at Trinity House, they're neat people. They've been through so much, and yet they're not angry. They're not bitter. They're not resentful. They're happy, and they're so grateful for the help, and they're helpful. I mean, they do. They're involved in their communities. They give back. They want to do good, and they already have.